welcome back into this episode of Matt Sports Talk. So in this video, we are going to be going over my updated bracket, and in the second round, we had one Freed Hardman, we had Bethel of Indiana, and I got Freed Hardman correct, advancing to a Sweet 16. Then we had 4 Loyola, 5 seed Georgetown, had Georgetown going to a Sweet 16, so I got that matchup correct with Freed Hardman and Georgetown. And then we had Dakota State, and, well, actually I had Concordia of Nebraska. Well, I had Dakota State winning their second round game. I did not have them playing Bethel of Kansas, but I still got Dakota State correct with advancing to a Sweet 16. And then, of course, we had really the biggest, I wouldn't say Shawnee State, I think, is one of the biggest Cinderella run teams, which I'll get to their side of the bracket momentarily. But I really think Indiana Wesleyan is the biggest, I think the most biggest Cinderella run of the whole tournament. And you figure, though, 12 out of the 16 teams that made it to the Sweet 16, 12 of them have come from the Mid-South, the Crossroads, and the G-Pack, which is just crazy to think about, because you got 4 from the Crossroads, you got 5 from the Mid-South, and then you had 3 from the G-Pack. So yeah, 12 out of your 16 have come from the 3 toughest conferences in the whole entire country, which just goes to show you just how competitive everything is. And of course, I had Rio Grande versus Dakota State in the Sweet 16. And, of course, it will be Indiana Wesleyan facing Dakota State, which Dakota State has beaten the Lady Wildcats at the national tournament in Sioux City twice out of the last 3 years. And Dakota State will be looking to make it 3 out of the last 4 years with that matchup Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern. And IWU, on the other hand, they'll be looking to win the Sweet 16 round for the second straight year after they beat Georgetown in that round last year. And I have Dakota State winning this Sweet 16 game. Again, I did not have them playing IWU, but I still have Dakota State winning that one. And then, of course, we had Dordt and Rocky Mountain. I got Dordt correct, advancing to a Sweet 16. And then I had 5 Mid-America Nazarene, or 4 Mid-America Nazarene, 12 Olivet Nazarene. And I had Mid-America Nazarene beating Olivet, and I got that one right, that Mid-America Nazarene did beat them. So I have that matchup correctly, Dordt versus Mid-America Nazarene, and I have Dordt winning that one in the Sweet 16 round, which, again, I really, really wish I could be out in Sioux City this year. Just did not quite work out this year, but, of course, we have other things going on, so again, and we went last year, so that's what counts. That's what counts. We made it out there, and like I mentioned, I don't remember if it was actually, I think it was in my men's recap video that I recorded a little while ago, that I had said that I definitely plan on being out there next year if the Lady Wildcats advance out there next year, and if they do, I definitely plan on being out at Sioux City for the duration of the tournament. And again, even if the Lady Wildcats advance, even if they were to lose, early on or midway on in that late run, just going out there, making memories, staying longer, that's what it's all about. And of course, supporting, my favorite team. Again, I'm not trying to be biased in any of my videos whatsoever, but supporting my favorite team and my most special friends that I've ever met, like that would just be awesome to be able to go out there and support them for a little bit longer than what we did last year. And then looking further down the bracket, we had 11 Hastings, and we had 11 Hastings advancing to a Sweet 16. I had Corbin in that one, so obviously I missed that one. Hastings will play St. Francis out of Indiana. I had St. Francis of Indiana beating the College of Idaho yesterday to advance to Sioux City. I got that matchup correctly. So that does it for the left side of the bracket, M&A Smith quadrant, and then the Kramer quadrant with Dordt and all them that we just went over. So on the right side of the bracket, Amador quadrant, I had Bethel of Tennessee. Originally, I had them beating Huntington, but it was, I originally had Oregon Tech playing Bethel, Tennessee. It was Huntington. Bethel, Tennessee won, so I got them correct going to the Sweet 16, and I had Montana Tech beating Lewis Clark State, but Lewis Clark State beat Montana Tech yesterday, so I got that matchup wrong. So it will be Bethel, Tennessee versus Lewis Clark State in a Sweet 16 matchup. And then I had Lindsey Wilson beating Southeastern yesterday. Lindsey Wilson going to the Sweet 16. I got that matchup exactly. I got that one correct. And then I had Dakota Wesleyan beating Eastern Oregon. Dakota Wesleyan played the Ozarks yesterday. Dakota Wesleyan won that game. So I got the matchup exactly correct with Lindsey Wilson versus Dakota Wesleyan, and I have Dakota Wesleyan winning that game. And then I got Marion correct with going to the Sweet 16. I had Marion playing Evangel, and that is Shawnee State, the other big Cinderella team out of the River States Conference. So Shawnee State will play Marion. So again, I did not have Shawnee, but I had Marion. And then I had UT Southern beating Spring Arbor yesterday. That did not happen. The Cougars out of Michigan have advanced to the Sweet 16 round for the first time in 28 years, since the 1997/1998 school year. So man, what an accomplishment for that group, with head coach John Williams and his assistant coaches Alex Scott and Terrence Williams. What a job that they have done. And John Williams, he is definitely building up something very, very special in Spring Arbor, Michigan. And they have made the national tournament every single year that he's been the head coach of that team. And I have no doubt they'll continue to make the national tournament every single year under his leadership. And man, I absolutely love that with what he's done for them and keeping Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, at the very top of his program, which again, that should be the case for every single program. And I know it is, at least for many of the other Crossroads League schools. Which, man, I love that. And real quick, before I mention the last matchup in this video, that I also share links to these videos here on my YouTube page, on Twitter, so you can find me on there at Matt J. Harden. It's all on lowercase letters, so please follow me there as well. So in case you do not have YouTube, in case you don't have the app, or in case you don't have access to a desktop computer, a laptop, maybe you just have Twitter and you don't have access to YouTube at all, no worries. You can still click the link from my Twitter page over to my YouTube page. You can still watch my videos there as well. So again, please make sure that you follow me over there on Twitter as well, and that you keep subscribing here on my YouTube channel so you do not miss out on any of this important content, because I shared on the men's video some of my plans for next season, which I'm super, super excited about. Which one of them is interviewing players and coaches, which is something that I wanted to do ever since I started doing these videos of Matt Sports Talk. And of course, next year will be my third season, which is hard to believe, and I plan on doing it for a lot more. And obviously, next year I definitely want to interview players and coaches from around the Crossroads League, because that's the league I follow the closest, the one where I attend the most games. So I would love to talk to any coaches and or players from the league. And the rough time frame, I would say, would be late August into early September in preseason, because obviously that's right about when the practices will start for next season. So I definitely want to talk to some players and coaches with previewing what to expect for their respective seasons next year, and to also talk about how they did this season. Again, mainly for the teams that either made the national tournament, or made a super deep run in the Crossroads League. So again, I definitely want to do that next year, to record a Zoom interview, and then obviously figure out, which I'm sure I could, figure out how to upload that interview here to my YouTube channel to where you can watch that. So again, that is some of the things I have planned for next year. So if you would be interested in doing that, if you are a player or a coach watching this in the Crossroads League, please reach out to me. You can send me a direct message on my Twitter page. Again, I am at Matt J. Harden. You can send me a private message there if you would be interested in doing that. And man, I would love to talk to you and talk about your program, how your program did this year, what to expect next season. And again, I'm super, super excited about that. So again, if that's something you would be interested in doing, please reach out to me via private message on my Twitter page. I would love to talk to you about that. And of course, or you could just send me a private message on my Twitter page if maybe you wanted, if you wanted to, to connect, further, either, via email, for example. I would love to talk about that with you in a private message on Twitter. So again, please reach out on that platform if you would be interested in doing these videos as well, because that's obviously something that I would love to do. And of course, I also plan on, contacting some, other coaches around the Crossroads League, and explaining to them, hey, I have a sports talk show on my YouTube page, and I would love to increase my viewership heading into next year, and I would love to, to do a Zoom interview with talking about, this past season. Again, I would not be doing any of this, in terms of reaching out roughly until, at least for those teams that I would have to reach out to, I would not be doing that until early April. Again, just because of, to give everybody, time to have a cool off period, so to speak, from this season. And then of course I plan on reaching out at that time, to potentially, schedule these interviews as we head into late summer or early fall, or I should say late August into early September. Schedule a time come early April to do those interviews at that time, and that is something I cannot wait to do, and it should be a lot of fun. So again, if you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so down below so you do not miss out on any of this important content. And again, I have some I have other very exciting things planned for future episodes for next season, especially come national tournament time, which I know I mentioned some of that during my men's video. I'm not going to allude to that in this women's video, but if you want to hear some of my future plans if you want to hear some of my plans for future episodes next year, you can go back and watch my men's recap video where I talk more about that. And again, some of that is not a guarantee at this point, but if what I have planned happens to come together, and if it happens to come together, then obviously, that would just be absolutely awesome to be able to for that to come together. At least for what I have planned right now going into next season. So again, super excited about next year. I definitely want to do more things. And again, like I will also allude onto that when I do my final episode of this season, come not the end of this coming week, but the end of the following week, when I do a recap video of the Crossroads League, like a season recap, how everybody did, all that good stuff. And at that time, I also will be diving in. I also will be talking more about what I have planned for next season. And of course, I know I've already mentioned some of this in my videos with player coaches interviews I would like to do, and also with what I have planned for next year's national tournament. I'm going to talk more about that here at the very end of the month, once we get past the national tournament. And I think at that time, it would make a little bit more sense to really, take a deep dive into that with talking about what I have planned for next year for season 3 of Matt Sports Talk as we get closer to the end of season 2. So lastly, before we end this video, my final matchup, I had Campbellsville yesterday winning their game, and they over LSU Shreveport, and Campbellsville did that, so I got them correct going to Sweet 16. They will play, they will play Spring Arbor, actually. At least I'm pretty sure they would. Again, I'm not totally, I'd have to go back and look. At least I'm pretty sure they would play, they will play Spring Arbor, at least I'm pretty sure. At least according to my bracket. And again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. So looking at my bracket record, I went 24-8 officially on the first day. So again, not too terribly bad for my second year of doing a fully printed bracket. I went 11-5 yesterday. So again, not bad there either. And overall, going into Thursday, once we get to the Sweet 16, I am 35-13 overall. And I don't remember where I was last year. I think last year I was like 30. Actually, I might have been like 41-25 last year, so I'm obviously doing way better this year with my second year than I did last year. So that is an updated view of my bracket. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch these videos. It truly means a lot to me for you to tune in, watch these videos, and also to have you as a subscriber here on my YouTube channel. It means a lot for your support. I truly appreciate that. And please keep on subscribing so you do not miss out on any of this important content as we enter into the final 16 games of this year's national tournament. Super excited about the episodes planned for next week, when I will be recapping all of the games for just the Crossroads League schools only, as long as they stay in the hunt on both the men and the women's side, but also giving you an updated view of my tournament bracket as well. So that's what I have planned for next week and early in the following week, once we get to the Final Four. Once we get to the Final Four game and then the National Championship game next Tuesday night. So next Wednesday, if any Crossroads League school makes it to the national title game, I'll be recapping that video next Wednesday. If that does not happen next Wednesday, then my other planned episode for next Wednesday is to do my final episode of this season, during a recap of the Crossroads League schools for both the men and the women's side, where everybody finished, and my overall thoughts from how they did this season. That will be the final episode that I have planned for Season 2. And again, Season 3, it's going to be absolutely amazing. And again, my goal is to hit 500 subscribers before we head into Crossroads League play on Wednesday, November 18th next year. So again, please let's hit that goal of 500 subscribers by that point. My goal in the short term is to hit 200 subscribers by next Tuesday, the day of the national championship game. I am 10 subscribers away from hitting that milestone of 200. So please subscribe down below so we hit that number before by the national championship game next Tuesday. Super excited about that. And again, it truly means a lot to me to have all your support. And please, keep sharing my channel with your friends, your family, anybody that you know. Again, it would truly mean a lot to me. And again, I am super excited for what next year will hold, not just on the Crossroads League side of things, especially on the women's side, particularly with Indiana Wesleyan. Super excited about what's to come next season for them. Obviously, we still have the remainder of this season to go, depending on how far this postseason run takes them. But I'm super excited for next year as well, and to share brand new content with you next year. I know I already briefly talked about that in this video, and then also on my men's recap video. And again, I could not be more excited for what's to come next year in Season 3. Again, I have all that exciting stuff planned. Cannot wait to dive into that content with you next year. And again, I definitely want to do that and keep increasing my viewership. And again, keep on, and if we're able to hit 500 subscribers by the beginning of the Crossroads League play Wednesday, November 18th, of course, I'll be able to do more things here on my YouTube channel if we hit that goal by that point. So please keep subscribing down below. And again, even throughout the spring and summer, just please keep subscribing. And I plan on sharing any updates with you over the summer on my future planned episodes for next season. If I have any updates regarding that to share, I definitely will do that over the summer. But if I do not have any further updates to share, of course, I'll wait to be sharing those updates with you until early to mid-August. And of course, that's roughly, the time frame, late August, early September is when I would love to, start doing what I would love to do and what I have planned for next year. Of course, I talked about that earlier on in this video. So, man, it's going to be awesome next year. So if you did enjoy this video or find it very helpful and or informative, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any one of those options helps me out greatly. I truly appreciate any feedback that you may provide me. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on Friday, recapping all of the Sweet 16 games for both the men and the women's side. Can't wait to dive into that at that time. Have a great rest of your day, a great week ahead, and God bless you and your family always.